I attempted murder at 13 and the guilt is preventing me from being a person. To preface, I am doing much better mentally, but as you may or may not imagine, something like this doesn't exactly just leave your conscience too easily. With that said, this is my confession. The title really says it all, but this body is where the details are. I was a disturbed child, to say the least. I was born from the union of a woman selling her body for crack and a man accepting her offer, so not the best start. By the time I was 2 years old, I had a scar on my forehead from a terrazzo windowsill and a fractured skull from being dropped, from which I still have a large patch of colorless hair. I say this because I hope what I am is simply a result of bad genes and early head trauma, but I know I am probably wrong. I was raised from 2 to 13 by my father's parents, two upper-middle-class 50-somethings in a pretty well-off neighborhood. I was a good kid, save for the occasional random act of violence. Fast forward to 11 years old, I was already severely depressed, self-harming insincerity, being drunkenly screamed at 3 a.m., the works. By 12 I was starting to become psychotic, intensely paranoid, and about as emotionally dead and distant from others as possible. I was beginning to slash myself with 100+ smaller gashes at a time just to feel something and watch myself leak. When I was 13, I got kicked out of middle school for slashing my mouth open in a smile and painting the bathroom walls with myself. 2 to 3 weeks later, Friday, January 9, 2015, the last piece of myself fell into the void of the madness. I destroyed my home the best of 5'0" 13-year-old could, tore myself the hell up, decapitated my cat, and stabbed my grandmother in the abdomen, right over her liver. She lived, but I was told that if the knife had gone even 1/4 inch deeper she would have reflexively doubled over, and given my state it would have been a much more gruesome scene than it already was. A SWAT team came and subdued me, took me to a facility to stabilize for 3 days, and carted me off to juvenile detention. I was acquitted of attempted murder, but charged pretty heavily regardless and have only gotten off probation about 2 years ago, or 3 years post-incident. I spent those 3 years in high-security juvenile asylums for lack of a better term, because there was no real treatment or answers for what my problem was. I'm undeniably way healthier and more in control of myself now, but I still experience a lot of really heavy depersonalization and near-total emotional repression. Personally, I think it's from guilt, so here I am. Feel free to voice your opinion of me below. I doubt anyone even on here can say something about me that I haven't heard already. I wish my sister would just overdose or get killed and be done with it. My sister is 31, I'm 36 and male. I really do hope she does. She is the most white trash person you could ever imagine. She has 3 kids by 3 different piece of crap guys. She's always has to be in a relationship at all times. They're in love after 2 weeks. She never wanted kids but she couldn't keep her legs closed. Her last baby daddy got arrested for grand theft. Cops came in to arrest him, said you are peeing in a cup to keep the kids. She refused and refused to get help. She lost custody of her oldest to my nephew's dad. The other 2 went to third baby daddy's sister. My middle niece doesn't even know her sperm donor. She lives with my dad, technically stepdad, but he raised me. She takes extreme advantage of him, ran his truck into ground, uses his disability money. Leaves every weekend to meet up with whatever guy and then shows up Monday back at dad's place. He won't kick her out because he loves her even though she's killing him with stress. He's had 5 heart attacks and open heart surgery before. My mom now has custody of my middle niece. All my niece and nephews have severe behavior health issues and learning disabilities because she refused to be a responsible parent for them. I've stated before and I'll say it again, those kids and my dad will be 1,000,000% better if she just died already. I don't care how, but it's coming soon from either drugs she takes, or meeting up with some psycho who kills her. I'm just waiting for it. I won't feel bad that day at all. My brother and I practiced on each other. Throw away for obvious reasons. My brother and I are under 1 year apart in age. When we were in our early teens we went through puberty at the same time. I think our hormones led us to some weird places. It didn't go far, but there were multiple occasions of him fondling my breasts, grinding/dry humping me, touching me and myself touching him. We were never fully naked, but sometimes I did have my shirt and bra up. No intercourse. I don't remember how this happened because it just kind of did. We were both single and had never been with another person. Kind of not the cool kids in our social groups. It ended after a short time and I started dating my first boyfriend. I think we definitely suffered from lack of education about how to properly handle our hormones and urges. If I had been taught about masturbation in a healthy manner, or at all, I would have had an outlet for my budding sexual needs. There wasn't physical attraction for me at any point, it was just about the sensation and tabooness of it, I believe. We have never and probably will never speak of this. I have told not one single person. Ever. I do not plan on it. We have a close, normal, sibling relationship now. No weirdness. Also, we do not live in Alabama. I fear I am a monster. I find myself at times thinking of how attractive people would look with their organs laid out on display. I sometimes fantasize about my crush being killed in some horrendous manner. What she'd look like with the blood drained from her. I would never act on these thoughts and I am looking at getting help. But I can't help to think of how even my closest friends would look if they had been butchered. Would their blood be warm? Would their organs look like I'd expect them to? Would I be traumatized at the sight of their skin and muscle flayed away from their bones? Are they all as beautiful inside as they are outside? I fondled a sleeping woman's breasts. When I was 14, I went on a holiday to Italy with my family. On the plane, my mom and my little brothers were sitting in the middle aisle and I was sitting directly across from them. A few hours into the flight I found myself being one of the few people still awake. My family as well as the people next to me were all asleep. The girl directly next to me, a cute Asian girl in her early 20s, was wearing a tank top and a zip-up jacket and I could see her chest slowly rising and falling as she slept. Once I'd noticed this, I couldn't focus on anything else. At some point I reached out with 2 fingers and very lightly touched her breast. I did this for a couple of minutes and then I had to go to the restroom to masturbate. When I came back, I tried to go to sleep but I couldn't get what I'd seen out of my mind. I kept opening my eyes and looking down at her bare chest and breasts as they slowly moved up and down. Eventually I started very lightly touching her breasts again. Up to this point I had only been very lightly touching her breasts with 3 fingers, but I plucked up the courage and lightly put my hand under her breast and then lifted it up. Just feeling the weight of her breast in my hand made me have to go back to the bathroom to masturbate again. I was pretty tired when I got back from the bathroom, so I laid back and was able to get to sleep. I would never do anything like that now obviously, but at the time I just couldn't control myself. I've never told anyone about this before. One of the most stupid and embarrassing things I've ever done. I have a fetish I can't escape. I really like pregnant girls. The younger the better, but younger than like 12 is weird. I masturbate to the TV show 16 and Pregnant. I love when the girls put on 50 to 60 pounds during pregnancy and have trouble moving around. I've had these feelings since I was really little. It started by drawing fat girls, then pregnant girls. I didn't know I was feeling an actual sexual attraction until I was older, and that's when I learned what those tinglings down there were. I also like chubby, thick girls. I love watching progression videos of weight gain, not too much but a sizable difference. When tiny girls get really fat for one reason or another, it's so hot to me. Tiny girls with huge pregnant bellies are amazing too, especially when they're moaning because they can't get around so easy anymore. I don't know where I'm going with this. I'm ashamed of this. I hate that I ogle so much at these people in public, wishing I could run away and masturbate to them. I feel dirty wanting to get pregnant just so I can be big and huge like them. I'm a girl, by the way. In my 20s and bisexual, if it means anything. I know that there's a baby that's a consequence of getting pregnant, but I've also thought about getting those pills that concentrate body fat to your tummy and just putting on pounds and pounds. I hate feeling like this. I want to stop because it's so embarrassing. I continued the cycle of abuse. I grew up watching one of my parents beat the other to a pulp regularly. The beater would travel a lot for work, and the few months they were home, they would beat the stay-at-home parent every night. Sometimes, they would have sex without realizing or caring that I was in the room. My earliest memory of the beatings is from when I was in 2nd grade. I know what grade I was in only because we moved to a different town just as I was starting 3rd. Otherwise, I cannot remember dates, places, names from my entire childhood to this day. I can identify certain milestones, like when we moved, but even a decade later, I can only remember life as a blur. From the youngest possible age, I began dissociating heavily. The beatings petered out as I got older, but the verbal and emotional abuse continued between them. My home was always in the midst of a storm. I'm pretty certain that the beaten parent is mentally ill as a result of their prolonged trauma. The beaten parent spent most of my teenage years regularly assaulting me, to the point where I am 28 years old and still in the habit of locking the door of any room I am in order to feel safe. Loud banging on doors and raised voices terrify me. At school, I began acting out in strange ways. I was also secretly hypersexual but did not ever have sex. Instead I watched porn or wrote filthy text on walls. I would also secretly beat 2 young children. They were adorable twin brothers who trusted me and lived next door. I would go on a walk with them, find a secluded spot and mercilessly slap them while forbidding them from crying. After continuing this monstrous behavior for some time, no idea how long because I truly cannot sense time. It was possibly before high school because we'd moved again when I was in high school. Their mother showed up at my house and said that the twins were at home with a high fever refusing to leave the house because of me. I denied having anything to do with their issues. The guilt drove me insane for years and years. I tried contacting them to apologize but I couldn't find them online anywhere. I am now diagnosed with a severe mental disorder and can barely complete daily tasks like shower, clean the house or earn a living. I accept money from the beater parent to get by when I can't afford rent. The beater parent is rich. My parents, inexplicably, have strong relationship now. Somehow, with my noticing, everyone at home mellowed down and figured everything out. No one talks about any of it, and no one cares what their twisted relationship has done to my brain. My older sibling somehow got away from it all, having left home right after high school, and has become a very successful, well-adjusted, balanced and stunningly brilliant doctor. We barely talk and this breaks my heart worse than anything else. Domestic violence destroys more lives than you'd expect. I did nothing to deserve my mental illness except be born into this family. The twins did nothing to deserve my evilness except live near the despicable poisonous person I was. I was a monster to them, the kind of person I was sure I would never be. I have never again hurt someone, ever. But nothing undoes the past. I wonder if there's other people here who can relate to parts of my story. A pedophile took my virginity and no one knows about it. About 3 years ago, when I was 12, I met an older girl online through our mutual love for role-playing. She was 19. We spent a lot of time together because of the interests we shared, which meant I was on my phone texting her 24/7. She was the first person I talked to in the morning and the last one at night. Not only because we had fun talking, but also because of her serious mental issues that she dumped onto me, basically making me responsible for stopping her when she wanted to take her own life about every other day. Needless to say, this obsession affected my grades and relationships with my family and friends, as well as my mindset on life. I stayed with her because I thought I loved her and actually cared for her. I didn't. I just wanted her to be alive and healthy and I didn't want to feel responsible in case she actually did die. I asked her to be my girlfriend, which seemed like a good decision at the time. Now when I think about it, I'm pretty sure she wanted to make everything about herself and I just went along with it because I'm a people pleaser. After a year of constantly talking and exchanging inappropriate photos, she visited my country and popped my flower with a toy, something I thought I wanted. We even had plans of me running away from home to live with her. I can't thank the stars enough for not actually going through with that ridiculous plan. Another plan that we had that still haunts me to this day was that she gave me a lot of her antidepressant pills and told me to poison my own mother, because she yelled at me from time to time and was thus considered evil. And the worst part? I actually did it. Once again, I can't thank enough any god that's up there that nothing actually happened to her. Eventually, I broke up every connection I had to her. To this day, I'm not sure whether I actually wanted to be with her or if she just used me, because none of the usual red flags popped up. No one knows and so I can't talk to anyone about it. I don't know whether to go to therapy, because the therapist might tell my parents and I don't want that, or keep it inside or vent my feelings out in other ways. Either way, I can't seem to make peace with it, no matter how much time passes. I'm lost and I don't know who to blame. I had an affair with my father and it ruined my life. Almost 3 years ago, I came out of the closet to my parents on my 18th birthday. After that my dad started treating me a lot differently than he had before. He was more loving and tender with me. He used a lot of pet names and showered me with hugs and I love yous all the time. I really started to fall in love with him and had some strong sexual feelings about it. He would hold me close while we watched TV or ask me to join him in his room while my mom was at work and he became my whole world. Eventually we started having sex and I thought we'd be together forever. Things were rocky at first and then they got better. But I started missing the things that other couples had, like PDAs and dates. Everything was a secret because A. He's still married to my mom. I didn't want to hurt her and neither did he. B. He's not openly bi or gay and didn't want to be out of the closet. C. He's my dad and was scared it would ruin both of our lives if anyone ever found out. Eventually my mom figured out what was going on but she didn't seem to be upset with me. But once I found out she knew, there was no way I could face her or keep it up. It was the hardest thing for me to do, but I decided to end it with my dad. It hurt so much, but there wasn't anyone for me to talk to. It's not like I could confide in anyone or even go see a counselor. So I just cried myself to sleep every night instead while my mom and dad acted like nothing was wrong. I'm about to turn 21 and I feel like everything's a mess. I'm way behind in my courses and haven't even gotten an associate's degree yet. I'm too broke to move out because my dad said I could either work or go to college, but he didn't want me taking on too much. They aren't mean to me, but it just hurts to see him sitting on the couch with her when I know I can't sit with him either. I'd do anything just to feel his arms around me or hear him call me babe again. I'm having a tough time right now and just need to get this off my chest. I hope everyone isn't too disgusted by it. I know it's gross.